So over this past weekend, I've had some people reach out to me and ask me, hey, have you watched this new show, Outer Banks? I would love to get your thoughts on it. And I just spent the last 2 days watching it. Is it something I recommend you all watching? What did I think about it? Do I want to see a season 2? Well, we're going to talk about that and much more. Outer Banks follows a group of teenagers in the Outer Banks of North Carolina who are called Pogs, as they are determined to find out what happened to the missing father of the group's ringleader, John B. Along the way, they discover a legendary treasure that is tied to John B.'s father. What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to Movie Files. Elliot here with a brand new Netflix review for the new drama teenage YA series Outer Banks, which premiered last Wednesday. Just spent the weekend watching it, and I'm here to give you guys my thoughts in it. Before we dive into it, as you all can see on the screen now, make sure you're following me on all my social media accounts. If you're new to this channel, definitely subscribe, hit that bell so you don't miss any of my new content. Make sure you give this video a thumbs up, really helps out the channel, but I also really appreciate it. And if and when you've seen Outer Banks, let me know what you all thought of it. What do you think about the storylines? Do you want to see a season 2? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. So as I had mentioned in my opening there, some people reached out to me over the weekend and asked me about the show and have I watched it, what I think about it. And I hadn't even heard of it. I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't see a trailer. I didn't even know it was a show coming on. But then there was a couple people that said, yeah, I would love to get your thoughts. And as we all know, there's not much to do right now. So I gave it a shot, and we're going to break it down. So if this is your first time watching one of my Netflix TV reviews, I like to spend the first half just non-spoilers, just general thoughts of the show. Do I recommend it or not? And then the second half of the video is more of the spoilers, so we'll kind of break it down that way. So first impressions, just finished it maybe about 30 minutes ago. I'm pre-recording this before I put it out, but it was a interesting show. I'm not gonna lie. I told one of my acquainted friends on YouTube, Perp Minded, told me about it, and I told him I tried to watch it on Friday, I think, and I watched like the first 20-25 minutes, and it's just like, this isn't for me. I'm just not liking the vibes of the show, the characters. But he said, give it another shot, finish it out, and it gets better and better. So I did that, and I have to agree with him. The show, after the first episode, I'm always one of those persons, if you guys have been following me for a while, I give a show three episodes. And if the episodes don't pick up at a third episode, I'll just cut it off. But this show did, it exceeded my expectations to a certain extent. So as I had mentioned, you have these kids, these teenagers that look like adults, but they're teenagers, and that's fine. That's a little nitpick thing, but, they're dealing with their day-to-day lives. You have John B., who's the leader of this Paul group of him and Poe, and you have JJ and Kiki, or Kiara, I believe her name was, and they a nice little group of friends, and they have their own situations going on. Some of them have okay relationships with their parents. Other ones have abusive relationship with their parents. And then you have John B., who has no relationship with his parent because his dad is dead, or at least he thinks he's dead. And that's kind of where the gist of the story comes about, and John B. uncovers that his dad was involved with this treasure, and there's this merchant ship that was sank 150 years ago, and there's $400 million on the ship, and that's what they're looking for. So that's where my positives really begin. All of that stuff was very fascinating. I know Perk Minded had mentioned that it reminded him a little bit of the Goonies, and I kind of got those vibes. Like if the Goonies were a little bit older, and if it was a little bit more rated R, which this show is rated R, and I thought that they used that to their advantage for the most part, as far as just having like those grounded, kind of mature type of conversations that they had within the show. And like I said, all that stuff, the treasure hunt stuff, I was 100% on board with. The characters were fun. You learn about the kind of the different groups of people, the rich people and the poor people, and again with all their storylines, John B, finding out with his best friends. I think my favorite character was probably between Poe and JJ. I thought they were just really fun, and I liked JJ's kind of backstory and everything that he was going with his dad, and Poe trying to get out of this situation that he was in regards to just wants to be better. He wants to be looked at better, and I like the relationship that he had with his dad and everything that was going on there, and all that stuff was just really, really fun and interesting. I like the adventure aspect of the show. I like the treasure hunt aspect of the show. The characters, they grow on you eventually. Again, they kind of, you look at the show in a certain light where it's kind of like, the Goonies meets Scooby-Doo meets Laguna Beach. It has all those type of vibes, and some of the storylines are really connected to, and we'll talk about the other ones that I didn't. But overall, it exceeded my expectations for the first half of the season. That's really my favorite part of the season. Like episode 2 through like 6, I was locked in. I was enjoying these characters. We were having fun. And then some other things happened, and we'll talk about that here in a bit. Kind of transition into my negatives. There were some moments that, this shows exactly what its advertised is, and I'm not necessarily the target audience, and there were storylines that I connected to, and some themes and stories that they presented, like, again, the different dynamic between how the rich people treat the poor people, how they're looked at, and I love the kind of the story in regards to you can't judge a book by its cover. You see that with John B's character. You see that with Sarah's character. They each had their own kind of thoughts on what the other side of the town people were treated like. The popes and the kooks, I think, were the differences, the rich people and the poor people. All that stuff was working good. But then there was one storyline and one particular character, or two characters I could have went completely without in the show. That's Sarah's brother, Rife, I believe his name was, and that whole storyline, everything that he was attached to, the drug line storyline, him and his friend storyline, Topper, all that stuff I could have went without, because that to me really brought the show down. I really don't like to call out actors when they do a bad job, but that kid that played Sarah's brother and also his drug dealer guy, I can't think of his name right now, Billy, I think it was his name. They were not the best actors. I don't know if it was a matter of what they were given and they just didn't have the much things to do, but it was moments where Sarah's brother he got crazy towards the end of the season, and everything that he befriended the drug dealer, and it was just everything that involved that Reef character was terrible to me, and that really brought the show down to me as far as quality. So kind of wrap it up with a non-spoiler review. The first half of the season, really fun, really adventurous. Again, Goonies meets Scooby-Doo meets Laguna Beach, and mixing it in a bowl, and I had a really good time learning about the characters, and I loved the treasure hunt. That was so much fun, and I love the mystery aspect. But then once we got past that point and it became a kind of a runaway Bonnie and Clyde drug dealer story, that's where it just kind of lost me. So now, that's my non-spoiler review. Again, check it out if you like the trailer. I think it knows its audience. It's a YA type of approach, and you might really enjoy the show. It just, a lot of the second half was just terrible to me, in my opinion, which now transitions into the spoiler half. So this is spoiler-free, or spoiler review going on right now. We're going to dive into the spoilers. So I need to know from you guys that watch the show, can you please clear it up with me? The cop that they claim John B killed, but we know that the brother killed her, did she know that Sarah's dad, Ward, that he was the killer? Were they in cahoots with each other? Because I remember the whole Hook storyline when he was the one that was killing people, and we find out that he kills John B's dad. But the whole thing with those two guys at the beginning of the season that was chasing our characters, John B and the crew, he killed them, and it looks like she knew about it. But then when she was attempting to arrest him, she acted like she didn't know that he was a killer. Very confused with that storyline. That she know that he killed those guys, and also how did he kill those two guys, and he can't even take out John B, and John B was just running around the ship. Just helped me out in that aspect. But really, like I said, guys, getting back to just kind of the thing that I really didn't like about this show was the Reef storyline. The whole thing with him being chaotic and wanting to prove to his dad that he's worth whatever he wanted his dad to look at him as, to take over the company or take over the business and be the head of the house. Him and the drug dealer storyline, which I thought that actor was terrible and just horrible. Everything with Reef I did not like. Topper, Cooper, or whatever Sarah's ex-boyfriend name, I did not like him as an actor, and just everything with those characters was just so bad. I know what they were trying to implement in the story, but it just did not work for me. That was the more Laguna Beach side of it, all the teenage drama. I like Sarah, I like John B. I thought that they gave you more than what I thought they were in regards to the show and their character development and having a fun time. I really wasn't on board with their relationship. It just felt, I know they're 16. Again, they don't look 16, but I know in the confines of the show, they're supposed to be teenagers. And I know I was 16 once. So we've all been that age, right? Where we think that this person is the person that we're going to be with for the rest of our lives. I get all that, but I just didn't feel the chemistry between the two. Sometimes it hit, sometimes it didn't. But everything with the love stories, even with Pope and Key, I thought that came out of left field. It was just, again, the best part of the show to me was everything with the treasure hunt, John B finding about his dad, all that fun stuff that we got in the show. That's where the show really shined to me. Like I said, episode 2 to 6 was just really good television, in my opinion. I was really hooked, really invested in the story. But once they found out about the treasure, where it was hidden, and that whole scene with the don't breathe moment where the Mrs. Kane or whatever her name was, she couldn't see. It reminded me of Don't Breathe, but a very cheap, bad version of it. All that stuff, once they found out what the treasure was, and Mr. Ward took on John B as his guardian and all that stuff, that's when the show just became just reality TV show. And I just wasn't on board with that. As far as season 2 goes, they left the door open. Obviously, Sarah and John B are on their way to the Bahamas to, I don't know how they're going to get the gold, but that's apparently what they're getting at. Again, you have the drug dealer that claiming that he owns Reef now. I don't know if that's his name. I keep saying Reef. I think that's his name. And then everything else from Mr. Ward and the police saying that he was going to interview him at the end. I don't know, guys. I don't know if I would be into a season 2. They really have to sell me on the trailer to be invested into another 10 hours. I feel like there was just every episode towards the second half of the season felt way too long. I thought they could have did like 7 episodes that are for 10. And they could have did that if they took out all that Reef drug dealer, all that storyline could have been eliminated from the show, and it could have been 7 episodes long, which I think would have worked a lot better. But either way, again, a lot of stuff didn't work for me, but I did enjoy the treasure aspect of the show. So that's my spoiler review, my non-spoiler review. Again, it didn't really work for me as an entire package. There were some highlighted moments. I liked the characters for the most part. Some of the decisions they made towards the end just got off the rails, and literally the second half of the season did not work for me at all. But again, that 2 to 6, episodes were really, really entertaining. So there's some positives, there's some negatives, but that's just my thoughts. Let me know your thoughts on Outer Banks. Did you like it? Did you not like it? Do you want to see a season 2? What would you like to see in a season 2? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Make sure that you like, share, comment below, subscribe to my channel, hit that bell so you don't miss any of my new content. Check out my videos that I did over this past weekend. Got a lot of awesome things coming this week. Netflix reviews. I have a very, very, very big watch along this coming weekend for Saturday and Sunday that I will be revealing that information pretty soon, so keep an eye out for that. Thank you all for watching this review, and we'll see you soon.